Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna. This week I'm going to show you some cards that we made at card class last week using Stampin' Up's embossing paste. It was introduced in the current annual catalog, the 17-18 catalog, and it's just a great way for you to add some nice dimension to your cards. It comes in a little jug like this, and it is, when you open it up, it has the consistency of frosting. So it's very pliable, and a very little bit goes a long way. So this little jug will last you quite a bit. And they also offer a packet of palette knives, and they have these 3 different shapes. I honestly don't know what the difference is, so I just use them interchangeably. And they also have some masks, and these masks are the Pattern Party decorative masks. There's 4 in a package. There's this one here with a brick design. This one here that's a beautiful medallion. This one here with some nice clouds. And this one here that we'll be using today with a nice diamond background. And this is the card that we'll be making. I'm using the embossing paste right out of the jar for this card. Later in the week I'll show you how to color it with some re-inkers, as well as how to emboss it with some nice embossing powder. But for today we're going to start at the beginning, and we're just going to use it straight out of the jar. Okay, so let me show you what we need for our supplies. Our card base is thick whisper white, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Our middle piece is Marina Mist, which is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then we need 2 little pieces. The Flirty Flamingo is 3 3/4 by 3. And the Whisper White, excuse me, is 3 3/4 by 2. And those 2 will make the card front. So the first thing we need to do is make our pattern with the embossing powder, excuse me, the embossing paste. What we're going to do is bring in our Flirty Flamingo paper. Now you can take some repositionable tape, here I'll show you what I mean, and just put a tiny bit on the back of it so that the card doesn't move, if you feel that you need to. If you don't, then you don't have to do that. And then when you take your mask, you're going to lay that over, and again, you can secure it down with a couple pieces of washi tape if you think that it'll move. I didn't have to, but let me show you how you would do that in case you needed to. I have 2 little pieces here, and I'm just going to line that up where I want it and just paste these down. And now nothing is going to move. I'm going to take my embossing paste. And embossing paste, you really do need to store it well, because it will harden. So what I found is, after I'm done with it, I put the cover back on nice and securely, and then I put it back in the plastic bag that it came in. Put in this nice little plastic bag. That's just to make sure that it doesn't harden, no air gets at it. And you can see that it is just like frosting, as if you were frosting a cake. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you just how little we need for this. I'm going to take this little bit here, and I'm going to apply it. And I'm just going to fill in all those grooves. And I want to make sure that I go in the same direction. I don't want to go back and forth, because otherwise I'm going to end up getting embossing paste underneath my mask, and that'll just make a mess. So I'm filling it all in, and you can see that I'm just, every so often I clean off my trowel. And redistribute it until I see that everything is nice and covered. Now you can see that I have a whole lot left over, and because I haven't tainted it with any re-inkers or anything else, I can put this right back in my jar, and then I'm going to cover that right back up. Now the one, okay, and there we go. So now I'm going to put this aside, and I just want to show you what it's going to look like. I'm going to lift my washi tape up and pull this back, push this off to the side, and carefully going to lift this up. And you can see how nicely that came out. If you have a little on the side here, you can just wait for it to dry and then snap it right off because it'll be dry. There you go. I'm going to put this aside, and it usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes to dry. What's most important though is that you clean off your tools. This will dry very quickly. Just as quickly as it's going to dry on your paper, it's going to dry on your tools. So if you use this and put it aside, make your card, and go back to wash it off, you're going to find that it's all hardened and it's not going to come off. So if you can't get to a sink right away, I suggest maybe a tub of water, and you can just drop your tools in there until you're ready to clean them up. But I do have a sink right here, so I'm going to run over to the sink, clean my supplies, and I'll be right back. Okay, my tools are being washed, and now it's just time to put my card together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach, excuse me, my Marina Mist middle piece to my white card base. I'm just going to center that right up. And then I'm going to attach my embossed piece to my card as well. I'm going to take that little piece of white that I had that was cut at, I want to make sure I have the right piece in my hand. That was cut at 2 3/4 by 2. And these two are going to make up my card base. So I'm going to center this top one right here. And then I'm going to take my small one and I'm going to attach that to the bottom. Now, when I'm putting this on, I'm not going to use this one as my guide, because if I do that, I see I have too much of a border here. I must have sliced this just a tad bit too small. So what I'm going to do, because I have a band going across there eventually, is I'm going to line this up with how I want it to be on the bottom. Now, have no fear about that. I'm going to take a little strip of Marina Mist, which is cut at 3 3/4 by 1/2, and I'm going to cover that up. Again, if I had followed the dimensions that I gave you, it would have worked fine. I must have just snipped it too soon. And there we go. Okay? So now all we have to do is decorate it. And to decorate it, we're going to use a couple different stamp sets. Excuse me. The first stamp set we're going to use is Balloon Celebration. And we're going to use this bunch of the strings. And we're going to use these two right here to put some dimension on our balloons. Now, when I go ink this up, I'm going to ink it up. I think I'll use Early Espresso. When I ink this up, I'm going to bring in my silicone pad. When I ink this up, I have to remember that I have a raised surface here, and then I have some raised right here from having this layer here. And I do want my strings to go over all of this. So I have to remember that. So I need to push down hard, but I don't want to push down too hard, because then I'm going to have stains on my card. So I've inked up my stamp, cleaned up all excess ink, and I'm going to line this up right about here and press. Now, don't worry about that, because of course we're going to cover that up with a nice ribbon. So the next thing we have to do as far as stamping goes, on a piece of scrap Daffodil Delight, I'm going to take those two balloon images, and with some crushed curry ink, I'm going to stamp those on my paper. I'll just turn this over. That has a little mark on it. I'm going to stamp one right there, and I'm going to stamp one right there. And then coming in with my balloon punch, I'm going to punch those out. you'll see this here is the bottom of the balloon. So I have to be careful how I do that. I need a pair of snips. And I'm going to take this one here, line that up in my punch, and punch. And there's my balloon. I'm going to put it aside. And I'm going to do the same with my other one. I need to cut this a little more. It's great to be able to use up your scrap paper, but sometimes it's a little tricky when you're trying to punch in a certain direction. All right, and there's my other balloon, and I'm going to put that aside. So my punching is done. Now I'm going to do the rest of my stamping. So I have another piece of scrap Whisper White, and using the stamp set birthday banners, I'm going to use this happy birthday, and I'm going to put it on this banner. So I'm going to make the banner using Marina Mist. Let me just unmount the stamp. And using Flirty Flamingo, I'm going to stamp the happy birthday. I'm going to line that right up in there. I'll stand up so I can see it better. Okay. And that stamp set, Birthday Banners, has a coordinating framelit set, and we are going to use this one right there, but it does have quite a few nice ones. It has a flagged banner, it has a little smaller one there, and it has all of these, lots of different banners. Like I said, it coordinates with this set, so it has a framelit for this and a framelit for that. And then you can use this one to go with that. And then you just have this banner one that you could use. I'm more of a swirly banner person. I like the swirly banners. So I'm going to go run this through my Big Shot. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're all set. I'm going to put that aside. Now we just need to make our other balloons to fill up our bouquet. So with this piece of scrap Old Olive, I'm going to come in and punch a large balloon and then a small balloon. I'm going to do the same with a scrap piece of Marina Mist. Let's punch a small balloon and a large balloon. Okay, now it's just a matter of putting our bouquets together. Now I'm just going to place my balloons the way I think I'd like them. Let's see. Using these strings as my guide, I'm just going to place them first and see how I like them. And I might just put this one right there as well. Okay, I like that. So all of my solid color ones are going to be attached with some snail. And the Daffodil Delight ones that are stamped on, I'm going to pop up with some mini dimensionals. Don't see my pokey tool. I'll have to use my scissors. I'll put 2 on each one just to make sure that they stay nice and secure. Oh my darn, arthritis is killing me today. Put that right there. And then I'm going to put this one right here. Now, you'll notice we still have this little lump right there. Not a problem. I've made myself a bow from some Flirty Flamingo ribbon. I used the ruched ribbon, which is discontinued, but there's another one out there. And I'm just going to cover that right up so you'll never see that. The last thing I need to do is attach my banner, and for that I'm also going to use some dimensionals. And there we go. Happy birthday, beautiful balloon card. And you can see this is really, excuse me, the embossing powder really adds a nice background. If you could see it, I don't know. Oh, one more thing I forgot to do, I'm sorry, is I want to add some dimension to my balloons. So with a white gel pen, I'm just going to make these little lines here. That just makes the balloons look more alive. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so here we have it. Now this, I don't know if you can see this close in the video, but this embossing powder, embossing paste just adds such a nice raised effect to it, and it just gives it another whole dimension. It's very, very nice in person. I'm going to show you a couple other cards that I've made in the past using some embossing powder. These are just a few that I haven't sent away yet. This is white on white, and that uses the brick one. And this one is, I colored it with some re-inker, and on Wednesday's card I'm going to show you how I did that, but I'm going to do it tone on tone. So there's lots of different ways you can do this, and later this week I'll show you how to color it with some ink, re-inker, and also how to heat emboss it. So I hope you do come back for that, and if you have any questions about this project or any of the products I used, please contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. And I do encourage you, while you are at my blog, to sign up for my newsletter. It goes out once a week on Tuesdays, and it has a recap of all of the projects that I have made and posted on YouTube. So you can just link right to them from my newsletter. Additionally, you can find information of any of the promotions that Stampin' Up is running. And I have a frequent buyer program, and I also have a refer a friend program. So if you have any questions about that, or if you'd like to get some more information on that, certainly contact me. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much. See you Wednesday.